Okay, welcome back to the Caribou Media Outdoors podcast. With me tonight is Braxen from Haxen Hunt. Welcome.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. I appreciate it. I kind of made up a list of people I wanted to talk to and started firing off messages, and the response has been pretty incredible. So yeah, I appreciate the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love a quick chit chat with just as many people as possible, just somebody that you would never have a regular conversation with. And so
Right?
when somebody reaches out for a podcast, I'm like, absolutely. You
Yeah.
can't turn down talking about hunting. So
I know, right? And everybody wants to do it. Like I was surprised that like the majority of the people I messaged were like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, what, next week? I was like, "Whoa, okay." I haven't even released anything yet. I love the intensity. This
oh,
is
that's
great.
awesome.
So yeah,
That's good.
it's been working out. So
Nice. That's good.
yeah. So I usually start off by asking people like take us back to when you first picked up a bow. What did that look like, and how did that kind of transition you into bow hunting?
Yeah. So way back when, I was probably about 7 years old or so is when I kind of started realizing how fun archery is. And I had like a little recurve bow that we'd go to the family cabin and I would just shoot trees and try to hit squirrels and whatnot. And then I got, a little bit older, 10, 11 years old, and had a little bit of a bigger recurve. And my family, we'd always go on this, like, it was the traditional like road hunting. So my grandpa had an old Jeep Wrangler that he custom made, like a folding grate on the back. So then it would fold down and we'd line like 6 of us up on the back and he would just drive the roads and trails and
Oh,
we'd see a
nice.
buck and jump off and try to shoot. And so I'd always go with the cousins and uncles and stuff. And I would take this recurve with blunt tips and I would just be flinging them at does, fawns, bucks, like 5-pound bow, just launching arrows. And yeah, that was kind of like the beginning. Just, having fun, not taking it too serious. But then I really, like, as soon as I was getting old enough to like hunt, I remember saving as much money as I could and finding the best deal on eBay for I actually still have the bow somewhere around here. It was
Oh,
a
nice.
Diamond Edge,
Mm.
and I was so thrilled. Like, as soon as I won the bid on this, like, it was day in and day out of me searching for these bows for sale, and I think it was like $250, and I bid on it. I won, and it was like it couldn't come fast enough. And I remember I was waiting outside when the FedEx driver shows up. I go get it, and then when I opened it, it was the completely wrong bow, and I was like,
Oh no.
"No!" I was devastated. I think it was only
Oh,
like a 20 to 30-pound draw, and the one I ordered was a 40 to 50. And I was like, "No, I can't wait any longer. Like, this is ridiculous." And so I had to return that one, ship it back, and then they sent me the right one. And the FedEx driver, it was the same driver. He's just like, "Dude, you've been waiting for this."
he was rooting for you.
Yeah. So I was 11 years old when that happened, and I still remember that like it was yesterday. And I practiced day in and day out just shooting. We went and bought a couple hay bales, and it was just set them at the backyard and just start flaying. And I would just spray paint like a deer on these hay bales and have that as my target. And I remember I was actually just reminiscing about this story the other day where um, I didn't really know how they worked,
Mhm.
and I didn't know that you had to go to a shop to, like, make it
Oh, to
fit
set it
you
up.
and
Yeah.
set it up or anything. So, like, I just slapped everything on myself, just watching random YouTube videos, and I'm sure the draw length was a little off. I can't remember what it was exactly. Um, and then the poundage was at 50. I didn't know that you could, or I thought it came at 40 and then you could make it 50 later, right? And so
Mhm.
I trained myself to pull back 50 pounds at 11 years old, not knowing. I just, like, every day, all day. And
Yeah.
I remember, like, a year or 2 into shooting it, I was like, "Okay, I could probably bump this up." So I finally figured out that there was a shop. I took it in and I was like, "Can you make this up to 50?" And he's like,
It's already there.
Sir, this thing is at 50." And then I was like, "Well, can you sight it in for me?" Thinking it was like a rifle or something. And he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
dude, I can't do that for you. It's like, what are you talking about? And since then, that's been my squirrel hunting bow. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's just, I'll probably keep that for the rest of my life, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I started when I was like 7, and we were on just a family trip, and they had the resort we were at had archery and a bunch of other
Oh,
sports, and
nice.
so I'd started there, and then was on the archery team in high school for 1 year. They only had it for 1 year. They brought in like an outside coach.
Oh, nice.
He was super strict. He would be like, kiss the string, kiss the string. You have to kiss the string. And like, this guy's crazy. And then, you'd miss the target and he'd be like, 10 push-ups. Like, well, I don't know if I like this anymore. Right?
I'm just trying to shoot a bow and have fun.
Yeah. So then afterwards, a friend of mine who was on the team with me calls me, like, this is like after college and stuff. And he's like, I just left Bass Pro. I bought a compound. You got to buy one of these. These are way better than the ones we had at school.
Yeah.
Because it was just like recurves of school. And then I remember walking through Bass Pro, just looking up at all the bows on the wall, thinking, what the hell is that? Like, how does that work? Like, my first thought, it's so embarrassing to say now, but my first thought was like, oh, that's really cool. There's 3 strings. So if you break one, you have 2 extras, right? Not knowing that, no dummy, you need them all to work. So I kind of started, whenever I get into something, I just fall into it hard. And at the time I knew I was going to go all the way with it. I didn't want to buy something and then have to buy something better a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So I wanted to save for a flagship. So I was saving and saving. So I go in, this is like 2015. I go into the local shop that was close to me, and the Hoyt Power Max, I think, was their ready to hunt package thing that they had going on. And I was like obsessed with that one. And this guy at the store was like, oh, let me set it up for you. You can shoot it. And I'm like, whoa, just so we're clear. Like, I'm not here to buy anything. I'm just looking, I'm coming into the store when I shouldn't be because I can't leave with anything. And he's like, no, it's fine. Just let's see how you do. And I shot 3 arrows and they were touching each other. And I left there like that just made it worse. Now I knew I wanted one, right?
I've never met someone that's shot a bow and been like, yeah, no, that's not for me.
Not for me. Yeah.
Everybody's like, wow, that is satisfying. Like, I just did that.
Yeah. Yeah. So a few years later, I bought a Hoyt Helix Ultra in 2019. Shot that for a couple of years. Jumped over to Prime because I had been watching Solo Hunter like religiously.
Yeah.
And it was in my face all the time. And I'm right-handed, but I'm left eye dominant. So I shoot left. So there's never left-handed bows in stock anywhere. So
yeah,
I go into there was a shop that opened up nearby that was selling Prime. So I went in and I picked one up, and he's like, I got a right-handed one you can hold on to. That's about all I can offer you, right? And I just remember holding it, and it was like holding a hammer upside down. Like all the weight was at the bottom. It just sat perfectly in my hand. And I was just like, oh, I'll take one in grizzly brown. And then shot that for a few years, and then I picked up an Elite Ethos last year.
Nice.
So just kind of bouncing around, seeing what's out there. And I stumbled on I can't remember, how long has your YouTube page been going on for? Is it like 7 years now?
Yeah, been about 7 years. Yeah. Yeah, it's all the random old bows for the last 7 years. I need to start cranking out the 2025 bows.
That's awesome. It's such a good were you going to like a local shop and shooting them there? Is that what?
Yeah. I just kind of worked out a deal. It was an older gentleman where I first started, and he's not techie whatsoever. Like, one of the nicest dudes. If you're on his good side, if you're not on his good side, he can just be a complete jerk. And so I got on his good side and was like, hey, can I just film random videos? And he's like, oh, sure, I don't care. So I started filming these videos, and I would just like shout out the shop, like, hey, just shooting here at Terry's shop, TNT Archery in St. George, Utah. And then all of a sudden he started getting a ton of phone calls and like, hey, can I buy a bow from you? I'm in Texas or whatever. Like all of
What?
these stuff. And he's like, no. Like, and he doesn't have a website of any sorts.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's like, how are you hearing about my shop? Some Haxen Hunt guy just posted a video and I just want to get the bow that he said I should get.
From your store.
So he told me,
Awesome.
he's like, dude, stop shouting my store out.
I can't help these people unless they're here.
I
Yeah.
was like, that's fair. So then kind of moved around to, there's a Humphreys archery shop in northern Utah. Did that one for a little while. And then now I just met up with Josh Jones with his
Oh,
Nashville
nice.
store. So I'm
Oh,
gonna see if I
nice.
can, or he said I can. So once I kind of get my schedule in place and
That'll
just
be
kind of
awesome.
go in there, and yeah, they'll be fun. I'm excited for that one because he's got everything.
The stock. Like I remember him walking around with, I think it was his phone or whatever. He's like, yeah, we got like one in every color. And I just like his Matthews order alone must just piss off other stores because he's got
Oh
them
yeah.
all, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
and
got
that's
them
his
all.
goal. I was talking to him about that. I'm like, dude, I've never seen a shop like this. And he's like, this is nothing compared to my Washington store. He's like, in Spokane, I have 100 times this much stock. And he's like, my goal is for someone to walk in and say, hey, I want to buy this. Do you have it? And the answer will always be yes.
Yes. Wow.
So he's like, I'll sell it. So I just order as much as I can, and he does really well on his website with
Yeah.
all the products and stuff. Obviously, you can't sell bows on a website, but
No.
all those other smaller products, he's just pounding through.
So what made you want to start the YouTube life?
Let's see. So I've got an older brother and his wife. They have a like a beauty makeup channel that they do together. So his wife does it, but he just like works for her. And so I kind of just like watched him kind of succeed in it pretty well, and kind of asked him questions like, how does this YouTube thing work? And I love archery, and I love there was at the time there wasn't really like bow reviews on like comparisons and just talking about like how they feel just shooting separately or like, against each other. There was
Mhm.
a lot of like specs and tech tips and stuff like that, but not like, hey, your Matthews Phase 4 versus the Prime RVX. Okay, Matthews is more dead in the hand, Prime is more stable, like whatever it might be.
Right.
I was never didn't really care for like the techie side of stuff. Axle, your brace height, the poundage.
Anybody can look that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can go on Matthews.com and find that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot it and like not know anything about these bows and just shoot and be like, this one feels a little bit better. And then it started just like rolling and doing pretty well. I did a year of 3 videos a week, every single
Oh,
week.
wow.
Yeah, and that was when like the growth happened. And then I just like I deleted all social media and everything for a year. And so
Yeah.
I like stopped, and I'll have like these little roller coaster, I'll hit it again and then I'll fall off. And hopefully with Josh's shop, I can get back to it full time and just
Yeah.
crank out. I would love to get 3 videos a week out again, just
Wow.
because it's fun. And I don't know if you haven't really like publicized it, but my buddy Jared Thomas, Peaked Out Adventures. Do you follow him at all?
Peaked Out Adventures. I'm not sure.
Um, he's in Utah. He's one of my really, really good friends. We're always doing content and stuff together,
Okay.
but like building our own separate pages. And like it was kind of a hassle because it's like, let's go on a hunt and film it. And then now we're building the same video
Right. For this.
separately. Like, why don't we just mesh and do this together and go further? And so recently we actually teamed up, and so he's kind of canceling out his Peaked Out Adventures, and he's gonna be, so to say, just a partner in Haxen. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, that'll be fun just to ease the pressure of getting as much content out as we can.
So were you editing everything yourself too, and you were doing 3 a week? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and had full-time job and everything, and a
Mhm.
wife and no life. So yeah, it was like I would
Yeah.
go bust out like 5 to 10 videos a day,
Yeah.
just filming, and
Yeah.
then My days I would publish, it was like Monday, Wednesday, or no, it was Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would edit an episode really quick. And they weren't intricate episodes. Like it was pretty
Yeah.
quick and easy, but it took time, definitely. So
Yeah. I started a YouTube channel about 3 or 4 years ago doing
mhm.
gear reviews and stuff. And yeah, it can really suck in your
Yeah.
time, like, especially the editing. And I like the like, if when you know that you've got everything that you want
Hmm.
and you know how it's gonna play out in your head, and you just need to give it that time in front of the computer, and you're like, "This is gonna be great." And it's like
Yeah.
4 hours later, you're like,
It's
"Hey,
like,
are you gonna come out of that room, see your family?" Yes, yeah, it's a
yeah.
balance, right? So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And
yeah,
it's a struggle, no doubt. And I mean, there's just, because I'll like visualize a video on what I want, and then I'll go film it, and I come back, and I'm editing. I'm like, crap, I didn't freaking get this shot. I didn't do
yeah,
this. I said this wrong, like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, you can kind of try to cut it out or like throw some text on there saying, hey, I meant to say this, whatever.
right. Or you're putting on the same clothes tomorrow and going out and redoing it.
Exactly. There was a few times
Been
I've
there, been there, guilty.
done that. No doubt. No doubt. I've had ones where my mic would die like halfway. And so I'd
Oh,
have
yeah.
half the video, and then I'm like, frick, I gotta do that again.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's fun, though.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. And like just the community and stuff, that people that you meet and just talk to, and just, I mean, I want to say, I mean, I'm kind of friends with like people I grew up with, but not really. Like all of my friends and everybody I hunt with, I all met on social media. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, you message someone on Instagram. It's like, hey, let's go hunt. And then all of a sudden you're like best friends, and you're
Yep.
50 miles back in the backcountry in Idaho. And who knows if they're a serial killer or not.
Yeah, I got a few people like that too, where it was just literally message on Instagram. You go end up meeting up at an event or something,
Yeah.
hit it off right away because you all love the same stuff. And now you're like lifetime friends. You
Yeah.
know, I had a bunch of them up to my cottage last summer, and
Oh,
I was like,
nice.
"You know all these people?" I'm like, "Kinda." And then we jumped in the truck, and, like, I think we had met the first time we met each other, like, 3 weeks later, we all went down to TAC in Pennsylvania, which is I'm in Ontario in Canada, so it was about a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's
got to
fun.
know each other in the truck.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure. Those truck rides,
We
man.
get to the border, it's like, anybody have a criminal record or anything that they wanna talk about now? Because now would be the time, right?
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great, and we've all been super close, and
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
say, little do you guys know, we're gonna be best friends forever.
It's so crazy. Just random strangers that you're meeting on,
Yeah.
it's like your friend dating app on Instagram.
Yeah. That's right.
And I remember my buddy Jared, so we're like best friends. Like we will be lifetime best friends type of thing.
Right.
And I remember I got a message from him because I had moved from southern Utah to northern Utah and lived pretty close to where he was. And I got a text or a message saying, hey, are you free? And at the time I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, yeah, what's up? He goes, we need help packing out an elk. And I'm like, okay, I'll just, never met this guy. I guess I'll just show up and pack an elk out with him because why not? And went and packed it out. And ever since, just been literal best friends. I mean, we talk
Wow.
on the phone almost every day, and kind of sounds like a bromance and whatnot. But my wife's always questioning, like, hey,
Anything you gotta tell
you,
me?
you got any secrets? My mother-in-law's convinced that I swing the other way with him
Oh, yeah.
because I mean, best friends. And I
Yeah.
always give her crap when I go on a hunting trip with him and stuff, like, oh, I'm gonna be sleeping in a tent with Jerry.
Who knows what's gonna happen? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
All fun and games.
Yeah, and the podcast too, like, you've been podcasting as well, doing a
Yeah.
bit of that, and it's amazing connecting. It's one thing to message people online, or even, like, if you're talking to a company or whatever, you're just another message or another email for them, but then when you get that face-to-face contact, it's like it just improves that relationship so much more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The just interviews with genuine people is so much fun. And I mean, that's kind of the main reason why we are doing the podcast. I'd done it a while. Gosh, I've had the podcast for like 3 or 4 years. And do you know AJ?
Yeah, I had him on here
Dakota?
too.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
we were
you?
talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, me and him did it together for a while, and we just fell off the bandwagon. And I
Yeah.
texted him, was like, dude, you cool if I just keep going and do it with Jared? And I mean, you can jump onto. He's like, nah, just run with it. I'm too busy. You're
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Jared
Yeah.
Coda's a good dude. AJ's a
Yeah,
good
he's
guy.
awesome. He's awesome. So what are you I saw you're giving away your RVX 32?
Yeah, yep, giving away my RVX 32. I don't know. I've got a form on the way, so I figured might as well
Ah,
bless someone with a
yeah.
little RVX action. I love the RVX.
I figured that was the case. I wore
Yeah,
this shirt just because.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm circling back to Prime this year.
Are you?
I have a form that's on order too. So
Nice, nice. Have
yeah,
you shot it yet?
no.
You'll be surprised. You will be surprised.
Yeah,
I shot it the other day for the first time, and
spill the
the
beans.
draw cycle is very smooth. I mean, like butter smooth. And I looked
Okay.
at the tech, and I was like, "Are you sure you didn't grab me a 60 pound? Because that is way too
Yeah,
smooth." He goes, "No,
yeah.
that is 70, 100%." And so I ordered mine in 80. So we'll see how that goes.
So did
And
I. I had
did you?
Brian Anderson on here from Prime,
Oh, did you? I love
and
Brian.
he's like 70 or 80, and I was like, oh, I don't know. He goes, it's smooth. I'm like, oh, 80.
I don't think you'll
Yeah.
go wrong with 80. I think most 70-pound bows are gonna feel like they're 80.
Yeah, and it's I remember when 60 was heavy, right? And
Yeah.
then 65 and 70, and 70 is the new 60, and now, now it's sounding like 80 is gonna be the new 70, right? Like,
Yeah.
the ethos I have is 75, so it's not, and it's a great smooth draw too. So, yeah, the
Yeah.
form, I remember looking at it, and I was like, "Okay." And it took a second because I think when I was talking to Brian about it, I said, "You know what I think the thing is? People right off the bat are gonna love it or hate it for the looks, right? That's the
Yeah.
way it is with any company's bow, it doesn't matter. But I think what sets this one apart or different is the fact that you're combining 2 materials that have never been put together before.
Yeah.
So, people are like, "What am I looking at? Is this a carbon bow? Is it aluminum? What's going on here?" But once you really get a look at it and understand why they did what they did, for me, it makes sense. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And it's Prime. They're going to over engineer everything. And they showed you in those videos, like they put 1,400 pounds on the riser and it just slipped off the machine. And they pulled it 82. I think they were hoping for 700 pounds before it would break. And it got to like 8,200. Like it's fine.
Jeez.
You're not going to break it, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. And I haven't shot. I think the Nexus 4 was the last Prime I had, so I haven't shot the Core Cam at all. So I just hear good things. So
Yeah. No, the Core Cam's good. The
yeah,
Nexus, I loved the Nexus series. They were
yeah.
solid. The one that I didn't like, it was right after the Nexus. It was the inline.
The inline.
Yeah, just because they went from the 4 cam system to the 2 cam, and I just don't think it had they hadn't figured out all the kinks yet.
Mm,
And it was still a good bow. It just they've done better in my opinion. And so when they came out, what's after the inline? Was it the RVX? No, the RevX. RevX was after the
RevX.
inline. Then that one was solid. I mean, great bow, and the RVX is even better. RVX Plus is now even better, and the form is sick. The first time I saw it, I was like, "What in the world am I looking? What is this?" And I kept
Yeah,
seeing all this these comments and stuff like, "What is Prime doing? Like, this is so stupid." And I started kind of looking into it, and at first I was like, "It's kind of ugly," but I began to kind of like it. I'm like, "It's different." And that's one thing that I'm like, they're pushing the boundary in something else and something
hmm,
new. They're innovating. They're not just doing the same thing year after year after year. Like they're actually trying new things.
yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me, at least, that, sets them apart from other companies is they're like, can we combine, big giant carbon arrows with our aluminum riser. Yeah, sure. Why
Yes, we
not?
can. Yes, we can, yeah, and they even said they're not necessarily calling it a carbon bow because they could use any material in there in the future if they wanted to,
That's true. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I don't know. It's, yeah, it looks pretty sick, and just their colors, like, that morel green is
That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet.
just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Kaza OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at checkout. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show.
I
Man,
ordered mine. It's a gray riser and
the gray
then
looks good too, yeah.
white limbs.
Ooh,
And then I'll have kind of like a bunch of white accessories and stuff on it. So my dialed
nice.
has a
That's
white void. And then my Quattro stabilizers, I'm having them custom color it to all be kind of white with a black or gray, or I guess it's just carbon. So it'll match. And I thought about getting like
nice.
white vinyl and like wrapping it around the carbon poles. Just like make it totally whack.
Did
But
you shot the Arxos before the proof, right?
yeah, yep.
What do you think about the one from the other?
The proof is probably 95% better than the Arxos, I would say. Have you shot either one?
I have the proof now. I just put
Okay.
it on. Amazing.
It's
Like,
great. They
incredible.
they were, I mean, obviously brand new company, brand new product when they came out the Arxos. I was fortunate enough to have a couple of the prototypes, and so like basically I don't have it anymore because I shipped it back to them. It was like a plastic Arxos basically. It was like all 3D
Like
printed.
3D printed, yeah.
Couple different like metal parts and stuff on it. You know, give feedback. They were, I mean, they sent them out to quite a few people and then just got feedback after feedback after feedback. And the only complaints that anyone ever had, they fixed and went straight to the proof. And it's, I mean, it's bulletproof. Like it's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and just hearing the amount of people that have said, "Oh, there was a number of different or not problems, but there was a number of things that they wanted to see change, and they
Yeah.
did them all." Like, normally it's like, "Oh, they fixed this year," or maybe it's
Mhm.
one thing, or maybe it's 2 things, but the fact that they did so much and listened to what people were saying, and,
Mhm.
you can't make everybody happy, but just, that, really says something about them as a company, and I loved all the updates that they do on social
Yeah.
media, going around the build and everything, and it's so cool. It's such a
Yeah.
cool company.
They're great dudes. I mean, I've had conversations with them just over the phone and just very genuine guys that are they're just positive and they've had a lot of crap I think hit the fan with, other people attacking them because they're making it's a wave, and they're making a difference in the archery space. And so they
Mhm.
upset a lot of people and a lot of people were attacking them and stuff and they were, I mean, still just so kind and, just genuine with everyone. And there's like, we're here to make a difference and we're gonna do it. So
Yep, yep.
yeah, just the disruption it was kind of fun to be on the back end, seeing it like when the Arxos was first kind of coming out and just like all these companies and stuff. Like there was a few pretty upset people and I would have random people give me a call and I won't name names or whatever it is. And they were just
Yeah,
like, oh, they stole this or blah, blah, just hounded, dialed. And I'm like, well, was it patented? Because I'm pretty sure everything on the dialed is basically dialed, like everything for the most part. And now everybody's copying dialed, having, colorful rings, having custom color everything, just making it. Obviously, I think the horizontal or the angled piece, I think that's patented by Dialed.
Oh, I'm
Pretty
sure it
sure.
is. Yeah. Like, just they really hit it on the nose, like, being able to custom color match things and,
Yeah. Yeah.
people are all about that.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause I mean,
We
like,
love making things look nice.
yeah, before you'd buy a black gold or a spot hog or something, and it's
Yeah,
black
it's
and has a
black.
green ring, and that's it.
Yeah,
That was your
way to go.
options.
Yeah, yeah, they really, yeah, well done.
Yeah, yeah. They're good dudes, and they're doing good stuff.
You
Have
just
you
hear
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, what?
I was just saying, I'm gonna have Scott on here in a couple weeks, but I've heard on other podcasts just the struggle, getting up and running a business like that and like putting everything you own into it and getting all your pieces together and then going to put it together and it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like that's it. That would sideline a lot of people that would
Yeah.
be in that position, but they kept going and pushed through and look at them now. They're, you know,
Yeah,
taking
they're
over.
crushing it. Yeah, and Scott's a funny, good dude. You'll like his story when you chat with him. His story's pretty cool, just how he did go all in, and I
Mhm.
mean, he went, sold everything and just fully dedicated to Dialed, and yeah, him and Taylor and stuff, and yeah,
Mhm.
they're good dudes.
I remember seeing him years ago. I don't remember when, on an HHA video, and he was in the woods talking about how to sight in whatever new site it was. And then
Yeah.
when I saw him, I'm like, that's the HHA guy. And I'm like, oh, he's got his own site company now. Oh, this is gonna be good. And then it comes out, and I'm like, the bubbles at the top. I've been wanting a top bubble forever. No one's ever done that before. There's a hole in it. You can see right through it. I'm in. Be like, this is amazing.
For
And
real.
then that was with the Arxo. So I didn't have one at the time, but just like then we went down to TAC and you got to pick it up and look at it. It's just, yeah, I'm really happy for them. I'm glad to see where things are going. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I'm
they're
looking forward to using it. And the double sight, like you can have two different sight tapes on there for two different
mhm.
arrows. If you're an indoor shooter and you're doing 3D and then you switch to hunting, you don't have to flip around. You can take the tape off. The whole ring can come off. You can have multiple rings if you want. Like, it's just
Yeah.
the customization is crazy.
Yeah, you can
So
change the colors of the rings, change the color of your scope, the entire, housing, your void, your everything. I mean, there's so many different color options and customizations and all their cool their small drops that they do with
yeah,
those are
yeah.
sweet. Like the real tree one they just did, and then they've done the
Bottomlands and
bottom
yeah,
line. Bottom line looks so good on that site. I want a full bottom line everything. I think it'd be so sick.
just all of it.
Just everything, everything. It'd be fun.
So what arrows are you shooting right now?
Arrows right now, I don't think I'm gonna switch. But I am running low just because I like to have fun and lose arrows. So,
Same.
yeah, right now shooting the Easton 5.0s. They're
Hey,
new
yep,
ones.
yep.
They're probably one of my favorite Eastons just because of how freaking light they are,
I
and
know. Yeah,
you can still put
they're
just
amazing.
mine looks the exact same. AEs, everything.
Yeah,
White.
yeah. White, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look so sharp. And I remember I've only ever shot Easton, so I can't really talk about anything else. It's just the way it went for me. Like
Yeah.
when I was building up knowledge base, I listened to Aaron Snyder on podcasts talking about the axis and the arrow weight that he was using. And so when I went into the store, I was like, I want brass inserts and I want like this. And I sounded like I knew what I was talking about. Right. And I'd never bought an arrow in my life. And the
Yeah.
guy's like, what, you don't need all that. I'm like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
so,
Aaron shoots it. This is what I need.
so I started with the axis, shot that for like 4 or 5 years. And then the Sonics came out and fell hard for those. Love the Sonics. Loved
Yeah.
how you can just like boop and
Yep.
your inserts in, right? Not that
Yeah.
it's a problem with the hit or anything, but love those. And then I went back to buy more, and they were sold out everywhere. So the local shop I had the 6.5s. So I played with those for a little bit. And then I was going to go back and get more Sonics again. And then I saw experimental stickers on people's arrows on social media. And I'm like, what is that?
What are you
What are
experimenting
you
with?
experimenting with? And I was like sending Cody messages from Easton, like, what is that? I know you can't tell me, but I'm really interested. Like, good for you. You totally got me and everybody else. And then I thought, like, what could they do? What could they be doing to the lineup? I'm like, oh, I bet you it's another 5mm because the Axis has been around for like 20 years. And not there's anything wrong with it. It's just they, and even the FMJ Max, like lightening those up, I bet everybody who shoots those just got 30 feet per second more.
Yeah.
If they switch to that.
Yeah.
So
The 5.0, Cody was saying that it kind of has like a stiffer, like naturally stiffer spine just due to the way that it's woven, to where you can get away with a even lighter spine than what you would typically do. So if you're shooting a 300, you can easily go to a 340. So you're going to even lighten your arrow that much more. And I think the movement with like heavy arrows and FOC is now finally like going away. There's a few fairies out there that still dedicate their lives to, real man arrows of 1,000 grains and higher. I actually made it a point for this bison hunt to shoot. I mean, everybody said like 650 was like the lightest arrow I should do for a buffalo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I want to say it was like my arrow weight was like 508 is what I shot. So like fairly light. Like that's typically what I try to hunt with, like for elk, deer, anything.
Yeah.
And like full pass through it was like 25 yards on her, and I ended up, it wasn't a good shot, but a full pass through, and so I ended up having to actually put like 8 arrows in her and pinned her in a slot canyon, and I mean arrows were just going straight through her neck is all I could see. So that's a whole story in itself. It didn't all get portrayed that way on YouTube just because of the gore. So I've told the story, but like it was, I'm one that like if you still have a shot, take a shot, try to make it, end it as fast as possible. So I had a 7, I think it's the tight spot 7 arrow quiver, and I was just
I need more
as fast as I could.
That's right. Anybody got an arrow?
With the second shot, you would have been dead. But I'm like, I'm still just launching these things, and I mean, yeah, that one I just made a point that you didn't need 150 to 200 grain broadhead, so I just did 100 grain broadheads, arrow, like 508, and I've never not had a pass through like on really any animal. I think the lightest arrow that I shot, it was probably I think it was like just right over 400. It was probably 405, like pretty freaking light. And it's actually this buck right here behind me. Shot him at 130 yards, full pass through with a 2-inch expandable rage.
Wow.
And he was dead in like 50 yards, but that was before like long range was really a thing. That was like 2017, 2018. And people were pissed when I would say, "Oh, I shot 130 yards." Like, what are you thinking? I just it was funny because that was my, like, I practiced at 130 more than I did at 20. And like I was dialed at 130 just for fun. And then when I ranged him, I'm like, seriously, 130, and wind was good. He had no idea I was there, and I'm like, if the situation presents itself, I'll launch it, and shot, and he was dead real quick. So
well, there you go. If you're practicing at that, and that is how you're training, and then you perform how you train, so that would make sense. If you're shooting 40 yards religiously, and then you go out and take a 130-yard shot, then maybe not, right? But in that type of a situation, nothing wrong with that. People will disagree with us, but whatever. Fine.
And right now, if I was to take a 130-yard shot, there's no way. I am not dialed for 130, and Haven't been practicing enough to justify that.
Do you change between broadheads, or do you stick to the same all the time, or what? Like fix the mechanical, or
So those the rage that I shot him with was the first year I'd ever done a mechanical. I had always been fixed blade, and like I've switched it up quite a bit. I've shot a bunch of different heads, and I've never had like a bad experience with any heads. Um, just because for the most part, like I try to film as many shots as I can just for my own sake of knowing where I hit the animal. So yes, I have shot animals and haven't recovered them, but I don't portray that as, the equipment. It's the shot placement or whatever it might be.
yeah,
If it's too low or too far back or, hitting shoulder blade, like that stuff obviously is the most important thing is shot placement. I think the very first broadheads I ever shot was like the Muzzy MX3s, the classic ones you buy at Walmart for $10
yeah.
and loved those. I shot those for years and killed quite a few different animals. And then I got into the ram cats. You ever seen the ram cats?
Hmm.
I shot those for quite a few years. Loved those until they changed their design.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like almost a bigger cutting diameter, and the angle of the blades was a little bit different. And so it you had to have longer arrows or else it hit your riser, the shelf on your riser.
Okay.
So I went away from those, and then I think right after those I went to the Rage, and then from the Rage I went back to fixed blade and did the QAD Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and those I loved those. The only thing I didn't like is they would dump after about 60 yards. The
Okay.
swept blade didn't dump, but the like full blade, those would kind of go down after 60 quite a bit. And then same with the annihilators. I've shot those, and those will plane out at 50 yards for me. Like they'll just tank straight to the ground. And then that's what I kind of went around on a rampage, like trying to figure out one that I can successfully like just launch and keep it consistent, with height wise and not tanking, but still have quality parts and not have to like really worry about performance. And that's why
Right.
I went to Sevr and shot Sevr. And
Uh,
still shooting those right now. And the new hybrids are, oh my gosh, I don't think they've been released. Yeah, I don't think they haven't dropped it yet. There's one new head that is a prototype that we got our hands on and took it to Arizona.
mm,
Um, and it was insane. Like the hole that it put in this deer, it was like a 25-yard shot. Um, just, I mean, it was gushing blood out both ends. Just
mm-hmm.
a massive, massive hole. I think it's gonna be a big hitter for whitetail guys, especially. I feel like
Yeah.
whitetail guys will like what it is. I can't say exactly what it
Nope.
is, but
No. No.
it
Don't need a lawsuit. No.
exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, I didn't personally tag out on that last hunt, and I only had one. We each only had
Mm,
one prototype, and so I had
mm.
a different color wrap arrow that held
Oh,
that
okay.
one on it, and so I knew which arrow it was.
Good idea. Yeah.
Um, I came to full draw a few times, but wasn't able to launch it just due to mainly branches. So branches
Mm.
saved a lot of bucks. But yeah, those new hybrids, the 1.5 and the 1. I think there's a 1.75 hybrid. I can't remember. I like the 1.75s, just the
I think
regulars, and then
I
the
think
1.5.
people are hoping that they put bleeders on the 175. I think
Yeah,
that
I think you're
I did a video about the whole lineup. I did a few. I did one with a number of mechanicals, and then I did one with fixed blades, and then I did one of the whole Sevr lineup. And people were
mm,
saying if they ever put bleeders on that 175, it's going to be amazing. I said, well, you never know, right?
yeah, yeah. You
I'm
don't know
sure
what's
that
coming.
I'm sure you're not the first person to say that. I'm
It
sure that they're getting that a lot of that. So who
yeah.
knows? We'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, they're so like gone are the days where you know mechanicals don't open, right? That's what
Yeah.
I heard when I started. So I never touched one for years. I started with like the Ozcut Hurricane because it
Yeah.
was a single bevel, 3 blade. Shot my first bear with it.
Nice.
Shot placement too high. Never shot from a elevated position before.
Yeah.
From my brand new tree stand that I got for Christmas, and launched it right into his back, just above where I should have been,
Yeah.
and never found him.
Dang.
First animal I ever put an arrow into and never found, and it was ah,
That's
throw me that.
heartbreaking.
It was amazing to watch. Like first, I heard him coming because there was a river in front of me, and there had
Mhm.
been a beaver messing around in there. So whenever I heard something in there, I was like, "Oh, it's just a beaver."
Yeah.
But then I heard like splashing, like something was walking, and then I didn't hear anything. And then they just appear, right? They're just
Mhm.
amazing. They just comes out and he's walking toward we had a barrel with bait in it. He was walking towards the bait and like kind of stops halfway, stands up on his hind legs, puts his nose in the air, and I'm like, oh no, he's getting my wind, right? So I already had him at full draw. So when he jumped back down and turned around to come back where he came, I
Mhm.
literally had a window like this big before he was going to get in front of a tree and he'd be gone.
Yeah.
So I shot and yeah, it went too high. He runs past the tree. So my arrow, I think, was 28 or 29 inches, and there was 11 inches of the arrow on the ground. So
Mm.
he had a good chunk of it inside of him when he
Yeah.
ran by the tree, snapped it off. There's no blood anywhere. There's blood on the arrow, not a pass through, but there's blood on the arrow and hair on the arrow, but he took off running. And I remember listening. I'm like, go down, go down, go down, go down. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that sounds so far. Go down, right?
You're like,
Just,
stop.
God, stop. You're supposed to stop. Right? And just, God. So
Ah,
we searched for him for hours, came back the next day, searched for him, couldn't find him.
dang.
So again, and then after that, I kind of, well, I should have had a heavier arrow, right? So I kind of went down that road a little bit, which I shouldn't have because it was already heavy. I think it was at 550 when the one I hit him with. But this is kind of how the whole filming started for me because I wish I had it recorded so that I could
Yeah.
see. And it going back and forth, I think it was that he was kind of quartering away, so it went in and then lodged into his offside shoulder.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah,
um,
that's tough.
yeah,
Especially with their hair being so thick and long and stuff that the blood just stops. It just balls up in the blood or in the hair, and so blood
and the
trails
fat and
on bear are
everything.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I started going down the mechanical bandwagon last year, I was like, every single one of these is amazing. Like the T2 from G5. It's like
Yeah.
throwing a hatchet through something, right?
Just
It
insane
did
heads.
horrible damage to the ballistics gel that I had. And like all the Severs, like take your pick, it doesn't matter. And they all grouped like perfectly with the field point, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just so
Yeah. There's no need.
so
Like,
good.
I don't know. I don't see the necessity for any fixed blade anymore, to be honest, with like shooting everything now with a Sevr. The Sevr, like there was one, it was right as soon as the hybrid came out. So I basically shoot does and stuff off my back porch for the most part as target practice. And then here where I'm at, you can shoot 3 of them a day. And so, and they just come by and I'll just tung, 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 just like launch. So I use it for testing.
Right.
I don't necessarily post it all just because people are gonna get upset just killing that many. But like we literally will eat my wife and I and my baby will eat a deer a week. I mean, we'll just go through it all. I jerky a lot of it and I snack on that and pound it. But
Mhm.
there was one when the hybrid came out, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna test this out on a doe." So doe comes out and I shoot. She kind of ducks and turns, and so it went way further back than I wanted, and it was not a good shot. Like it looked like just guts, and I'm like, "Crap, that sucks." And I literally watched her walk about 10, 15 feet, stop, and she just stood there forever, and I'm like, "Okay, maybe I did something more," and she was bleeding. So I think I got some liver and stuff, and she literally just laid down and died right there.
Night night.
And I'm like, Okay, well, the hybrid works even when you make a bad shot. And yeah, the only time I've had a Sevr not fully pass through it was a doe here, and they're so whitetail are so freaking fast, and it's only about a 25-yard shot, and she ducked, turned, and by the time the arrow made it to her, it hit her right in the back of her neck and the spine, and she dumped. I mean, just dropped to the ground immediately, and that was the only time that one of those arrows has been stopped because of the spine.
Yeah. I just, like, the pivoting is incredible technology,
Mhm.
and, like, the fact that you can throw a screw in there and practice with what you're gonna be using, like,
That was
that's
probably my
amazing.
number one selling point when I was looking at them is the screw that you can, set and just because a lot of broadheads will give you 2 heads, 3 heads, and then a practice point, and you only have 1 practice point, and you've gotta save it or not lose it or break it or anything, right? Where, like, you
Yeah.
can just use all of your severs and have those as your practice tips, and then literally pull a screw out and go hunt
Way to go.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. They're nice.
pretty awesome. Sold.
Yeah. Yeah. So, shameless plug, use code
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
we, so typically I have a code Haxen for it, but, I think it's not the best discount code, but we just got a new one. I think it was 20% off, which I don't think anyone
Oh,
has. It's
that's
called
good.
Bow Nerd or Bow Nerds, one of the 2. So you do Bow Nerd or Bow Nerds. I think it's just Bow Nerd. And it's 20% off, which is, like,
That's huge.
way bigger than, your typical. I think it was only, like, a dollar off or maybe $5 off your whole order or something like that, which
Mm.
savings is savings. But, yeah, when we worked and got that one, I was like, "Oh, sweet." Like, people are gonna love this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a difference, right? And especially when, you know, when it's more than like a 5% or a 10%, then that's yeah, once you get into the 20 territory, I've got a 20% off one for Numa
Oh, nice.
outdoors gear and for bulldog targets, which I've
Nice.
been shooting the crap out of.
Yeah.
I only wish that they're only if they're a field point only target, so
Okay.
you can't shoot broadheads into them, but they're a tank. Like you won't go through them. And if
Yeah.
you do, they have a lifetime warranty. They'll send you
Really?
a new face. You just rewrap it.
That's pretty
Staple,
sweet.
staple, good to go.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Is it
Yeah.
a bag target?
It's it's not no, it's got like a frame to it, but it's just filled with lots of stuffing, but
Okay.
it's not like the bag ones where it's hard to pull things out of. These is like 2 fingers, every arrow
Okay.
comes out. Woo.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
That's really cool. The, one I like for broadheads is the Sevr target. Have you ever shot that one?
I have that one too. So I use that for the broadhead testing and stuff. That thing is the
It's
easy.
it's great for the broadhead. It can kind of be tough to pull out field points. I mean, it's not like
Mhm.
awful. It's not the worst one out there, but like it definitely. I mean, for broadheads is money.
Yeah, I have yeah, we'll just we won't throw too much shade at other companies, but I have had a other target that I broke arrows getting them out or had to stand on top of it for 45 minutes yanking, and it
Yeah,
like, what the hell?
yeah.
Like,
I had
this
one
is
target that it was probably my arrows as well, but it would pull my insert outsert out because you were pulling
oh,
so hard, which
yeah.
they shouldn't come off either way. But like you were yanking. I actually have one. Let me grab this real quick. Um, so I was shooting that same target, and there was a outsert in there, and so I shot that I didn't know, and the arrow went straight into the
Oh,
outsert.
nice.
So who knows how long that's been in there, but shot it out. I was like, sweet, I found one. I
That's
have
awesome.
I have broken arrows on this target, like shooting an outsert. It like I won't. No, I'll share it. So it's the Easton. What arrow? The X10 Parallel Pros or whatever the X10s.
Yep, yep,
Um, Great arrow.
the 4
I
mils.
just found them to be a little more brittle when having an impact on something. So, like, having an outsert stuck in my target and hitting it with the X10s broke those arrows every single time. I mean, just snapped them. Versus my 5.0s, my 5.0s have shot metal poles and they do nothing. Like, those things are probably one of the toughest. I mean, the Axis is pretty dang tough, but the 5.0s, I think, take it out of the water.
Did you use the hit or the half out with yours?
So I've got the hit with the collar on it. So they
Okay.
have that removable collar
Yeah.
just to give it
Yeah.
that little extra strength on that tip. And I think it only adds like 10 or 15 grams or something, or grains.
Yeah, I'd never used a half out before, so I tried the half outs, and these have been pretty good. They don't get held up in the target. They come out really well. This is the 55 grain. They have
Nice.
the 55 and the 75, but yeah, I've been
Yeah.
really happy with these.
Yeah,
With
the
them.
half outs are really nice. I really, really enjoyed them. I think I only went with, I mean, the hits are nice. They're not the best to install if you're doing it by yourself, and you got to make sure you use the right glue. I've done super glue and it sets before I can even get it in there.
Yeah, the first set of Axis that I bought at the
Yeah.
store, they put them in for me, and the
Okay.
guy's like, "Okay, here, keep them flat. Don't touch them for 24 hours." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Like, you probably like, "Okay, buddy." Like, you probably tell that to everybody. Of course, I get them home. I lay them down on the table, and I stare at them for like 20 minutes, and then I pick one up and I go to screw on a field point, and it just kept spinning and spinning and spinning. I'm like, "Uh-oh." And of course, I wake up and I tried that to a couple of them, and I'd had either pushed them too far in or brought them out.
Yeah.
So I screwed up a couple of my first dozen.
That's
So
normal. That's
after
normal.
that, like, okay, the epoxy does need 24 hours. And if you're
Yes.
using super glue, be quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like to use super glue because I'm impatient and I want to shoot it. I'll build an arrow and then go out and shoot it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't use the epoxy anymore, but,
Yeah. The epoxy does work really well. I'm not gonna wait a day.
yeah, I wanna
Just
shoot
like
them now.
exactly. I'll fletch an arrow, blow on it a little bit, and then just shoot it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw you had a release video there. Are you jumping between different releases, or do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to figure out because so I struggle really bad with target panic. Like my wrist strap release, my regular release that I've hunted with those and shot with those for my whole life, basically. Like I will slap the trigger no matter what, I will slap it. And I've had the conversation with Joel Turner about it all, and he's just like, you've got, gave me his course. He's like, you need to do this and this, and I've done it, but I just mentally, I don't know. I get that target panic. So then I went to a hinge and that helped. But the
Yeah,
hinge, I don't know where I have it. It was 3 fingers, and I would find myself like I really had to hinge. So then I made it a little bit hotter, um, and just made it more sensitive. But I would still find myself hinging it,
right.
and I would punch it, right? I would still punch a
You
hinge,
still
which
yeah, yeah,
yeah, which would make it worse. Um, and so recently I actually took the 3rd finger off of the hinge. So then it's just 2, and I made it really hot to where it's
Baba!
like, like I don't have to tilt it at all. And
Just
I've been
blow on
shooting.
it.
Yeah, it's just like literally. It's been sketch. I mean, there might be a hole in the wall behind me, so who knows?
Maybe, maybe not, maybe, yeah. Yeah,
Just don't tell my landlord.
yeah,
Um, And that's helped. That's helped a lot. I'm not punching it, and I'm just like I'm letting that pin float happen, and then it's so sensitive. You can genuinely do like your regular like squeeze your shoulder blades together like you should type of thing, and just
right,
pull through the shot versus like hinging it. So
right. Yeah, I was talking to Joel on here a couple weeks ago, and
yeah,
I'm like, "Got your book, bro. Bought this a long
nice.
time ago," and he's like, "Listen, a lot of good information in there, but there's a lot more that isn't in there that we're teaching now." I'm like, "No, no, I just want to tell you I had your book." Um, but for me, like, I had a lot of um, firearms training similar to him. He's obviously did a lot more than I did, but I was used to the trigger pressing, the slow
Yeah.
trigger pressing. So when I got a wrist strap, I would just slowly pull my finger,
Mhm.
and I had a caliper release, and it would slowly open. And I can't
Uh,
remember the amount of D loops I went through, just like
yeah.
so. Then I got rid of that and got a Carter Wise Choice.
Okay.
Love that thing. And of course, I realized how much Cameron Haynes videos I was watching when I first bought it, because if you this is at the beginning, this isn't so much now, but when you watch him shoot, he flexes his fingers before he comes down on his trigger.
Mhm.
So my first shot with the thumb release, I'm like, "Oh, I don't need this lanyard thing." Pull that off. What do you think I did? Launched it.
Shot it right through the bow.
It's like, oh. So shot that for a while and then picked up the Onyx clicker, which has been amazing. That little click
Nice.
is just like, it's exactly what I need. You know, you get into those moments where you're like, "Oh, it should have gone off. What's going on?
Mhm.
Why? Maybe I should just press it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
that click is perfectly in the right spot where it's like, okay, it's almost going off, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I've done a
or
couple shots with the clicker, and it's if I can afford to buy one, I think I'll buy one because I it's so sick.
yeah,
I
and
love
then
it.
they just added. I just picked this up. I'm gonna try this out too. They added the clicker to
Oh, okay, with the
the
wrist
wrist
strap.
release. Yeah.
Nice.
So I figured I'll give this a go too. I'll probably
Yeah.
use the thumb, and then I'll have this as like a backup because it's the
Yeah.
same mechanism. So
Yeah. Well, that'll be way sweet. Yeah,
yeah.
that's nice. Stan
So
makes some good stuff. I like their releases.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You going to any TAC events this year?
I'll be at the Tennessee TAC for sure.
Cool.
I may or may not try to make it to the Utah TAC. That's kind of the tradition. You know, I got my regular buddies I go out and shoot Utah with, but I'm like, like my daughter's birthday's during that time, so and I
Uh,
missed it last year, and I'm like, I should, yeah. So
yeah.
we'll try the Tennessee one, and I don't know, I might do some other random one. I know Sevr wants me to come help at the booth and stuff at some one, so
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah. Booths are
Awesome.
fun. They're a lot of work, but they're fun. Just talk to everybody that comes by and just meet some cool people.
Yeah, it's I went to my first one last year, to the Pennsylvania one, because it's a 6 hour
Nice.
drive,
Yeah.
and loved it. Like, we got there on the Thursday, we go to sign up just because I remember hearing somebody on a podcast saying if you get there on Thursday, register because Friday is just a zoo. The lineup
Mhm.
will be crazy. So we go register and we're just walking around the vendor village. I'm like, there's 100 people here selling stuff that I can't even see at home. Like, I'll never get my hands on these in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, it was just
How is the mark how is the market?
overstimulated, right?
Yeah. How is the market in Canada for bow shops?
There's a bow shops is good. It's just not all the products are there,
Okay.
right? Like, we do really well. I shouldn't say that, it's not like we're missing out on a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
you don't realize it till you go to an event like that, and it's like, oh, the dialed sights are over there. You can go touch them. Oh, the MK, the Montana Knife Company's knives are over there. You can go look at those if you want. Like, they're just, the
Everything.
Kifaru stuff. Everything is just there, and it's just it's wicked. So I'm going back
Yeah.
this year,
Nice.
um,
Nice.
with three other guys I've never been. So
Nice.
I'm like, get ready.
TAC is fun. TAC is fun. It's I remember, like, I've been a couple years where I'm just like there was one I was messing around with a bow. I wanna say it was my Matthews VXR, and I got, like, the 28-inch axle, but then I did whatever courses, just long shots, and just having a small like, I really wanted to test having a small axle,
Mhm.
and for those long shots, it was the worst experience of my life. I missed, I swear, every target. And, like, I didn't realize how big of a difference the longer axle makes at those longer distances
Yeah.
until I like, because shooting at my house, just the regular range, just my regular target. Like everything was fine. I felt comfortable enough to go shoot tack, and then it was like miss, miss, miss. I'm like, started with 12 arrows, and I'm down to 1. So we're only halfway through the course.
Yeah, like the knock on one. We get up there. I'm like, guys, we're on a mountain, on a landing strip. This is crazy. And it's like, okay, you go to the first cone, and you're like, where's the target? Like, oh my god, it's 93 yards. The first target, 93 yards over there. Oh, okay.
The knock on is brutal. It is brutal.
Man.
I think the first year John did that in Utah, he was like sitting at some of the cones and stuff, just shooting with everybody. And there was
cool.
one, I remember it was a ram, pretty steep downhill. I mean, it was like way just straight down, and it was like 95 yards as the angle. So you're really probably 120 yards distance wise. And I want to say it was the year I had my VXR, and he sat on a rock and he shot, and he was like, okay, anyone want to try this? And there was like 20 people bunched up right there, and everybody, no. And I'm like, I don't know, I'll try. I'll do it. Sure. So he had his filming crew and stuff. They were filming, and I was like, well, pressure's on. So I sat down on the rock, I shoot, and completely missed, like not even close. I mean, it was probably 20 feet to the right of the target. I think my third axis was off or something, and it was long gone. And he's like, don't worry, I'll delete the video. It was that bad.
Oh,
it was funny. It was pretty funny.
We rounded the corner and saw him. We're like, oh wow, look at this. And you just go up and talk to him. And the next day he had to go because he was having dinner with a veteran and his family. But we come back the next day, and I had a camera because I'm filming everything for YouTube and stuff. And I had it recording. So I literally told his guy, like, we just want a picture. So like, just hold it up. Like, I'll just get a screenshot of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're lining up with John, and he's like, so what's the camera for? And I'm like, oh, I just, I got a YouTube channel called Caribou Media Outdoors, and I do gear reviews, and I'm just, documenting our time here. So, okay. And he turns to the camera and launches into this intro for the video. And his guy like knew what he was going to do. He's like going in and coming out. And he's like, everybody who's watching Caribou Media Outdoors, welcome to the 2024 Pennsylvania attack. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, this is awesome. Insane. And I already have, there's some comments in there. Someone's like, how much did you have to pay Dudley to do that? I'm like, nothing. It was a surprise. I didn't even know what was happening.
Oh, that's awesome. He's such a nice guy. He's a nice dude. That's awesome. Funny. That's way cool.
Do you have a hunting story you can tell us before we go?
Yeah.
Whether it's your bison or something else, or a buck you shot or something?
Let's trying to think of the craziest hunting story. One, I guess, I mean, it's not a bow story. We hunted with rifles, but it was bears in Idaho, and this is one of those stories where found a guy on Instagram and said, "Hey man, we should go bear hunting sometime," and said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And so we planned this week-long trip up in Idaho to go find bears. I'd never been hunting bears for one, nor in Idaho, nor with this guy. And me and Jared drove up to Idaho, met this guy at some random place in Idaho, picked him up, and had another 8-hour drive. And never talked to him before, nothing other than a couple DMs. And now
there you go. It's one way to
going for somebody. 8 hours. And we we're kind of coming up with a game plan because he had been there before and we hadn't. And he's like, okay, we'll hike in. It's not too bad. I think the first stretch is like 12 miles. And then I'm like, we looked at each other like 12 miles. Like,
first
just
stretch?
the first stretch. We're screwed.
Where are you taking us?
And we were doing like a full film of this hunt. And so my pack was like 97 pounds. Yeah. Jared's was somewhere in the same ballpark. And this guy, his name's Cade. He's like now one of our best friends. And he shows up and his pack weighs like 25 pounds. And we're like, dude, what? How? Like, how do you have gear in this thing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It works. And we get to the trailhead, and he's like, does anybody have a water bottle? He didn't have a water bottle. So then we had a shaker
Was
bottle in the truck.
involved.
So we're like, we're screwed. And we give him the shaker bottle. That's his one source of having any water whatsoever on a massive hike. I mean, we ended up, we did 12 miles in first day. Second day, we did another 10 up the hill. And then the third day, we did like 3. And so we were 25 miles in to the middle of nowhere in Idaho.
Wow.
And I don't know why we kept going, but we kept going. And we find 3 bears on a hillside, and me and Jared kind of looked at each other and we're like, we're not hiking bears out, dude. Like at this point, it's a camping trip. Like if you want to shoot one, go for it. He ended up shooting one, and Jared got sick. I think he got Giardia, and so Cade went down the valley across the way to go get his bear. Spent overnight at his bear, took camp and everything, camped over there, and we just had radios. And he's like, "Okay, I'll meet you guys at Camp 1 first thing in the morning." So we're like, okay, sounds good. Jared's up all night long, coming in and out of both ends, just wrecked. And so now I'm worried that, he's not gonna make it out.
That's the worst place for that to happen.
Oh, the
you just want to crawl into a bathtub or something. It's like,
absolutely,
you can't because you're in the middle of nowhere.
And luckily, he made it out to the bottom. And when we got to the bottom, Cade wasn't there. And so we're like, okay, well, he had mentioned if I'm not there by like 1 p.m., chances are just give me a few hours. And then if I'm not there, something bad might have happened. So
just we don't have longer.
Yeah, we don't have any communication with him because we're miles and miles from each other. So we don't have any form of communication. So we pass out. We just lay on the ground, take a nap, and wake up, and we can't even see like 100 yards in this canyon. I mean, it was a massive canyon. Just there's smoke that rolled in. And now we're thinking, okay, we have no place to go but towards the smoke. And there's probably a fire. There's probably a wildfire, and we are stuck. Luckily, there's a river. So worst case, we can jump in the ice cold river and maybe live. Who knows? And
oh man,
Cade's not back. So now we're really freaking out. And so there's no service, but I had my Garmin in reach, and I'm texting my wife to call like Forest Service or something, report a fire or find it out if anybody else reported a fire. And I mean, the communication was so slow. So it was like 30 minutes between each text. And finally she got back. She's like, they said that there's no fire. And I'm like, there's a fire. I can't see.
Maybe Cade started it to get your attention.
Yeah. And here, finally, a couple hours later, Cade comes out, and he's like dead. I mean, he's like, that was the worst hike of my entire life. And he's got his bear, and he's like, do you guys see this? You guys see this fire? Like,
no,
something's going on. And we kept trying to get a hold of the fire or Forest Service and stuff, and their response was saying it's smoke from Canada. Canada fires were blowing down in. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, thank you. In my head, I'm like, there's no way that this is from hundreds of miles away. Like, there's no way it was that thick. And it, sure enough, it was. And we were still scared. And so we just bombed it out of there that night, basically the whole way. And that was a trip to remember. So
no kidding.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was awful, and we'll never do it again.
The end.
Moral of the story: find a friend on Instagram and go to the back country of Idaho.
How long was your other friend sick for?
It really, I think it only hit him that night. Like, actually, like throwing up and diarrhea and stuff. But I mean, he was pretty weak after that, and then something was going on. He went and got tested for, I don't know, whatever parasites. We all had, I mean, water filtrations and stuff, but who knows? Something could have slipped in. And I mean, I think it was his food he was eating, because he's like strict keto, And so he brought like packets of tuna fish and salmon and mustard for 7 days straight. Like every meal. It was disgusting. I was like, it was so bad. And he's got these things called keto bars. They're just a fat brick basically. And I think he was eating 2 of those a day, which it's 1,000 calories each, and there's a lot of
fat in there.
Yeah, I mean that. He I know he eats like 1 a day regularly, like every single day. And the trip, he's like, I'll be burning fat, like I'll be burning calories and stuff. I can justify eating 2. And I was like, dude, I think that's what got you sick.
Yeah, no, you can't.
You can't.
You paid the price.
Yeah. I gave him one of my last peak refuel meal, which was some chicken and rice. I'm like, you need some rice, dude. Like, eat a meal, eat this.
Plug that up.
I don't need you dying on me. I'm not hiking you out. So
that's right. Yeah, I've done the keto thing on and off before.
Have you?
And you have to be very, like, especially adapting your body. Like, if you go too far in one direction, it's like you can't trust a fart. Like, you better watch out, right? Because it's going to be bad. So I can only imagine like that.
Yeah,
that was probably what it was.
Yeah, he's been strict keto for like, I want to say it's like 7 or 8 years.
Oh wow!
Like, yeah, like it's just his way of life now. Like, it's not a diet at this point. And he loves it. Yeah, I mean, he's jacked. I mean, the dude.
It's a great way to lose weight. Yeah.
He needs to probably lose weight. He's just pure muscle at like 200 something pounds.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I think he had just started some testosterone, and so he gained like 20 pounds of muscle within a month.
Wow.
He's just a beast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think I could probably talk to you all night, so I don't want to.
Oh, same, dude.
Take up too much of your time, but thanks for jumping on here.
Yeah.
Let everybody know how they can find you online, I guess.
Yeah. So for the most part, everything is Haxen Hunt. That's HAXEN, just at Haxen Hunt, Instagram, YouTube. And then we do our podcast called Bow Nerds Podcast. If you say it really quick, it's just Bow Nerds Podcast, just throwing that out there. But it's Bow Nerds. And there is a reason behind that. It was on purpose, just to catch some attention. So we figured we were going to come out with some shafts, some arrow shafts, and some very stiff risers, or
you got it.
Good stuff. But no, that's And then if you want to get joined in, I'll give my giveaway a little shout out. The RVX that I'm giving away. You just go to my website, haxenhunt.com, and then every $5 spent is an entry to win. So
you used to sell flags. Was it flags?
Yeah, I did do flags for that one. Was a donated a couple $1,000 to some veterans, and then bought the winner a bow, and then they picked a veteran or somebody in their family, or first responder or something, to get another bow. So I gave away two bows to that, and awesome. That was fun. That was really cool. That was a rewarding thing. So yeah,
awesome. All right. Well, when does your form arrive? Do you know?
I don't. I should probably call Brian and be like, "Yo, what's the shipping status on this thing?"
Check my order. Yeah, we'll have to circle back once you've had it for a while and see, get the full breakdown.
That'd be fun. Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll nerd out about Prime stuff.
Yeah. I love Prime.
All right. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.